Good evening and welcome to the Connecticut Department of Transportation Public Information Meeting for project number 174-470, the rehabilitation of various bridges along Route 8 corridor in Harwinton, Litchfield, and Thomaston. My name is Leslie Reese and I am a project engineer with the Connecticut Department of Transportation. We hope this presentation will be informative and that we can answer all your questions. And to start, I would like to explain how to use the closed captioning. Here you can go click show captions on the toolbar, then click the speaking language and select your preferred language. A voluntary post-meeting survey is available at the link posted below. The results of the survey will help us improve future public meetings. The civil rights notice to the public is also available at the link below, and both links are located on the project webpage. This slide is the Title VI notice to the public, which states that the Connecticut Department of Transportation operates its programs and services without regard to race, color, and national origin. In accordance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, any person who believes she or he has been aggrieved by any unlawful discriminatory practice under Title VI may file a complaint with the Connecticut Department of Transportation, Federal Transit Administration, or the Federal Highway Administration. Este es el título 6, aviso al público en español. Describe el proceso para presentar una queja ante el Connecticut Department of Transportation. Ahora haré una pausa por unos momentos para que tengan la oportunidad de leer la pantalla. Now, how you can communicate with us. We have multiple ways you can do that. First, we have you can send a message through the Zoom Q&A tool, and this option is only available during this meeting. You can also contact us by email, which is dotproject174-470@ct.gov. You can also leave a voicemail by calling 860-594-2020. Please include the project number 174-470 and your contact information in your message. You can submit questions or comments by December 2nd through both the email and the voicemail. This information is also available, as I mentioned before, on our webpage. And a recording of tonight's presentation will be posted to the Connecticut DOT YouTube channel after this meeting. So how to ask a question. You can use the Q&A feature by clicking the Q&A and the toolbar. This will open the Q&A window. Then you can type your question in the text box and then you can click send. We'll respond to questions in the order we receive them. And again, this option is only available during this meeting. Now I would like to introduce the project team. From the Connecticut DOT, you have Derek Lazar, he's our Division Chief of Bridges. Then you have Gregory Funk, who is the Principal Engineer of the Consultant Bridge Design Consultant Liaison Engineering Program, or the CLE program. Then you have Chris Patria, who's the Supervising Engineer for the CLE program, and myself. And then from our Consultant Liaison Engineer, BHB, you have Mark Levesque, who's the Program Manager, and you have Jonathan Figueroa, who's the Project Engineer. And the designer for this project is Stantec Consulting Services. And now Jonathan will be going over the existing condition of the bridges and the proposed work for this project.
Good evening. So for this project, the purpose is to address the deficiencies at each structure, each bridge, to provide a bridge in a state of good repair that will meet all current design requirements for improved safety and to extend the life of each structure. Here we have a typical diagram of the components of a bridge. Um, these structures will involve the parapets, the deck, the bearings, as well as the steel girders, which create the superstructure of the bridge. Here's a project location overview of all the bridges along the Route 8 corridor. We'll be in Thomaston. There are two structures there. There's a bridge in Litchfield, and there are another two bridges in Harwinton. Here's another view, a satellite view of each of the structures. Now we'll begin with the bridges in Harwinton, 1733 and 1734. Again, this is a closer overview of the bridges along Route 8. 1733 is along the southbound corridor, while 1734 is along the northbound. Again, a satellite aerial view. And now we'll start with 1733. The road below the bridge is Bogue Road. Here are elevations of each side of the bridge. Here is the bridge on looking from each approach along Route 8, southbound. This is 1733. Here's a typical view of underneath or the underside of the bridge. Now for the other structure, 1734, again, it is along Bogue Road, and these are the elevations, the west and east side of the bridge. Here is 1734, looking at the bridge from either approach on Route 8 northbound. And again, you've got the underside of the bridge. Now, just an overview of the bridges themselves. They were built in 1966. The travelway is approximately 43 feet wide. There are three lanes in each direction. Um, a note of importance is the minimum vertical clearance, so the height from the road to the girders of the bridge. For structure 1734, it's currently at 14 feet 3, whereas the bridge is posted for 14.4. That is one of the deficiencies of the bridge that will be addressed. With these structures, with these bridges, you've got two elements, the deck and the superstructure. So here we're looking at the deck and the deterioration noted along the deck of each structure. Then you've got the superstructure, which consists of the girders. Here you can see various deterioration noted along the bearings, which are the supports of the steel down here. And then you've got the steel itself, as you can see, rust and other types of deterioration. Now, in terms of the proposed work, we're looking at superstructure replacements. So that will be new galvanized steel girders. For Bridge 1734, they'll be using high strength steel to reduce the structure depth, which will help, as I had previously noted, with the minimum vertical clearance. We're looking at an ideal minimum vertical clearance of 14 feet 6 inches. Again, the deck will be replaced. There will be new joints along Route 8, and the abutments and piers will be modified given their existing condition. Here is a cross section of Bridge 1733. As you can see, again, the travelway is approximately 43 feet wide, and the proposed cross section will match almost the same footprint. Again, here are the cross sections of 1734. This is again along Route 8 northbound. We'll still be maintaining the three travel lanes, and again, the footprint of the bridges won't be changing much. Now the staging, which is an important part of the construction for 1733, as you can see, Route 8 southbound, we're looking at maintaining two travel lanes and constructing the west portion of the bridge. With stage 2, we'll be flipping over and providing one travel lane while constructing the remainder of the bridge. Now, this is traffic control along the road beneath the bridge, Bogue Road. There will be two substages. As you can see, we'll be constructing the northwest quarter of the bridge and then flipping the pattern and constructing the southwest portion of the bridge. Stage 2 will be similar with patterns and will also consist of two substages. With stage 2A, we'll be constructing the remainder of the southeast portion of the bridge and then changing the pattern and constructing the northeast the northeast section of the bridge. Here is bridge 1734. It is a similar pattern. With stage 1, we'll be maintaining two travel lanes and constructing the east portion of the bridge. Then we'll be switching the pattern, maintaining one travel lane, and constructing the remainder of the bridge. And then similar to 1733, there will be two stages and two substages within each stage. Again, we'll be constructing each quarter of the structure with each stage. And then constructing the rest of the structure in stage 2, and again, two different patterns. And now we'll be looking at the structures in Thomaston, Bridge 1730 and Bridge 3359. Here's a project location, a closer view of the location of the bridge. Here's an aerial view. You've got elevations of the bridge on either side along Reynolds Bridge Road. You've got views of the bridge from both approaches on Route 8 northbound. Again, you have the underside of the bridge in its current condition. And then an overview of the existing structure. It was constructed in 1964. You've got about 42 feet of travelway width. The minimum vertical clearance won't be an issue on this structure. The bridge itself consists of a single span, kind of again, overview of the structure. Now, the deterioration on this structure will again involve the deck and the superstructure. Here you can see a glimpse of the deterioration along the deck. And then switching over to the superstructure, essentially the steel. As you can see here, the bearings are a focal point of the proposed work. At abutment 2, the expansion bearings have misalignments and deterioration, and replacement of these components help the bridge expand and contract and allow movement. So again, the proposed work will involve new steel girders, a new deck, again, new joints along Route 8, and will involve modifications to the abutments, given their current condition. Here are cross sections of the existing structure and the proposed work below it. Now, staging will also be important for this bridge as well. As you can see here, stage one along Route 8 will involve one travel lane and constructing the east portion of the bridge. Construction two, the traffic pattern will shift. We'll still be maintaining one lane of travel, and the rest of the structure will be completed. Now, here's a look at the traffic pattern or the traffic control on Reynolds Bridge Road, which is the bridge below the structure. Again, it's important to note that it will take two substages within stage one, and then stage two is similar, constructing quarter sections of the structure. Now, switching to the other bridge in Thomaston, we've got Bridge 3359. Here's a view of the bridge. You have an aerial view of the location. And here are photos of the bridge. You've got the west elevation and the east elevation from uh, from the road below, which is Route 22 or 222. You've got the bridge along views of the bridge along Route 8 from each approach. Then you have a typical underside of the bridge. Um, again, a current overview of the existing bridge. Again, constructed in 1966. Um, One thing to note is with this bridge, there is an on-ramp. So the width of the roadway along the bridge changes to incorporate the on-ramp. Again, here's deterioration that will be addressed in the replacement, the superstructure replacement. Here you have the superstructure itself. As you can see, the girders and the bearings and the deterioration along those components. Now for the proposed work, there'll be new girders. Again, a new deck on top of those girders. Um, and with this structure as well, the abutments will be modified to accommodate the new superstructure. Now here's a cross section of the existing and proposed. Again, it's important to note that the ramp will create varying widths of the structure. Here is the staging for Bridge 3359. As you can see, in this case, the on-ramp will be closed and there'll be a detour involved while the eastern portion of the bridge is constructed. And again, there'll be one travel lane open during construction. Here's the detour associated with closure of the on-ramp. Here you have stage two. We'll have two travel lanes open, and the western portion of the bridge will be constructed. Now here's a look at the staging below the bridge along Route 222. Then the pattern will shift, and the remainder of the bridge and the work associated with construction will be below the bridge will be completed. Now we'll switch to the last structure, Bridge 606. Here's a view of the project location in Litchfield. Here's the aerial view. Now here are photos along the roadway, which is Campville Road, below the structure, below Route 8. Here's the bridge along Route 8 from each approach. Here's a typical view of the underside of the bridge. And again, an overview of the existing structure. The year was constructed in 1960. The roadway width is 43 feet. And with this structure, it is a three-span bridge. Now, the deficiencies with this structure will mainly focus on the bearings. Um, the elastomeric bearings, as you can see here, are overexpanded and aren't sitting on the pedestals. So it's important that they be replaced, which will help, again, prolong the life of the structure. So again, replace all bearings and work associated with the deck and substructure is not anticipated given the current conditions. Now, staging will all be done on the road below the structures, or below 606 along Campville Road. As you can see, with this staging, there'll only be two stages. Stage one, the southern portion of the structure will be rehabilitation along the southern portion. Then the pattern will change, and the northern portion of the structure will be rehabilitated. Now we've got utilities on two structures. For 1730, you have overhead wires that span over the structure, and then you have utility poles along Reynolds Bridge Road. And then for 3359, you've got utility poles as well as overhead wires that will be considered during construction. And then here's a look at the construction costs and schedule anticipated for the spring of 2028 and end of 2030. And now I believe, yes, I will pass it off.
Yeah, so just to go back one slide, if you don't mind, Jonathan.
Yes.
So yeah, the anticipating construction cost is $23 million and it's 80% federal, 20% state. And I just want to just let everyone know that no fundings from required from the towns. Also, we are anticipating the start of construction in the spring of 2028 and be completed by the fall of 2030. And at this time, there are no rights of way impacts anticipated. And now we'll pass it to Mark to do be the MC for the question and answer session. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Leslie and John. My name is Mark Levesque, and I'm the project manager with VHB, and I'm going to be the MC for the evening. First of all, we do want to thank everyone for joining us, whether it's on Zoom here, or if you're listening by phone, or if you're watching this recording on YouTube at a later date. The purpose of this meeting is to provide the public with an overview of the project, get feedback, and answer any questions you may have. With that being said, we're now going to start our live question and answer session with the design team is available to answer any questions you may have. As Leslie had mentioned before, there's three ways you can ask a question. The first is by email, DOT project 174470@ct.gov. Second is by voicemail, phone number 860-594-2020. We ask you leave the project number, which is 174470 in the voicemail. That way it gets to the right project team. And for those joined now on Zoom, there's a live Q&A function. As we discussed before, there should be a tab on your screen. It says Q&A. Click that tab, type your question, and hit enter. We'll try to answer it live. This Zoom Q&A function is only available now during this meeting. But we will be checking voicemail and email throughout the meeting and try to answer during the meeting if we get any questions on those formats. but the email and voicemail is going to be available for another 2 weeks up until December 2nd, 2025, and we'll be responding to those as soon as we can. I do want to remind everyone of the project webpage, portal.ct.gov/DOT project 0174-0470. There's a lot of good information on the project, including the project email and voicemail numbers. And the post-meeting survey is also there. I've added all these links to the chat. The webpage will also have this presentation and a copy of the YouTube recording. A link to that, I think, starting tomorrow. So now we're ready to start the question and answer session. So please feel free to ask any questions. I know it's a pretty big project. I think we have 5 total bridges, 4 of which are complete superstructure replacements, and another with a little bit of work on the bearings. So it is a pretty significant project. So we're happy to answer any questions. Looks like we do have a couple questions that did come in. First question is, if any easements change, will the property owners be notified? Yes, we will have. I'll start that question, that answer. If we determine that we need to acquire property, there's a whole rights of way acquisition process that we would go through. We don't anticipate that's going to happen. But if it did happen, there's a property map and there's a whole process, and the property owners would be contacted. But we don't anticipate with this level of project, and there's large state right of way right now, that we don't anticipate that happening for this type of project. Well, I do want to remind, if you're going to ask a question during this session, to put it in the Q&A. I think there was one asked in the chat, and I just want to remind that the Q&A is the vehicle for asking those questions. The next question we received: are all these projects occurring at the same time? We do have, I believe, John, can you go back to the project schedule page? I think it's the one before this. Yeah, and I think we say anticipated start and finish. We want to, the projects could, all the bridges could happen at the same time. We wouldn't want to do anything that would really negatively affect the traffic. We do show almost 3 full construction seasons because there are 4 pretty large superstructure replacements and another bridge that got added to that is on this project, but not as much work. But the work can occur simultaneously. It doesn't have to. We leave a little bit of leeway up to the contractor. There are some restrictions put in there about when they can work, but we don't necessarily spell out exactly how to construct the bridges. Again, we would look at the traffic patterns and make sure that they wouldn't be negatively affected. So there can be work. They might want to share the same lane closure if the bridges are close enough, or they might want to if I think there was one set of twin bridges, and they might want to work so that they stage the traffic below the bridge at the same time as they're working above. So we leave that up to the contractor, but we don't anticipate this will take much longer than the time shown here. We did get another question. Who is the contractor? We do not know at this point. We are still in the really preliminary design stages of this. And at this point, I think with the anticipated start of construction in spring of 2028, it will be advertised probably likely in the fall of 2027. And that's at that time, we do a full design on the project, and then it goes out to bid, and contract is selected after the bidding process. So we do not know who the contractor is right now. We did receive a question via the chat, and I did mention that before. What will the effect be on the streets below the bridges? John, can you walk us through some of some of that staging below the bridges?
Yes. I guess the quickest way. So for 1733 and 1734, or I guess this is 1734. As you can see, it'll be one-way traffic with stoplights on either end. And this is along Bogue Road. And then this is again the other traffic pattern. And a majority of the work will again be done on the structure, the bridges itself. So that is 1734. 1733 is similar as well. And again, the main focus here will be construction below the bridge, associated with the bridge itself. Again, you've got one-way alternating traffic. You've got stoplights along Bogue Road. And then again, the pattern flipping and construction of the rest of the construction below the structure. And then flipping to 1730. Again, the main focus will be construction below the bridge. And again, the traffic pattern switches with stage 2. again, with the main focus on construction below the structure. And then here is 3359. This one is a bit different in the fact that the on-ramp in stage 1 will be closed. And then in stage 2, there'll be access. Again, you've got alternating one-way traffic, and the on-ramp will be opened. And then again, there will be a detour, as you can see this detour here, when the on-ramp is closed.
Thank you, John. I think hopefully that answered your question. But we're not planning on work on the road itself below the bridge, just blocking off portions of the road so we can work on the bridge above. And work on the abutments and piers if we have a pier. But the focus is on the Route 8 structures, not on the road. So all good questions so far. And if you think of a question later on in past this meeting, please send us an email, dotproject174-470@ct.gov. Or you can leave a voicemail, 860-594-2020, and just please mention the project number 174-470 in the voicemail. And we'll try to get back to you. Again, this comment period is open until December 2nd, 2025. We'll stay on as long as questions are being asked. So we want to remind everyone of the post-meeting survey. I put it in the chat, the link to that. We'd appreciate it if you could fill it out. It helps us get some feedback on this meeting and ways to improve future meetings. That survey link will also be available on the webpage. And that webpage is also portal.ct.gov/DOT project 0174-0470. Again, a copy of this YouTube video and will be on that website. A link to it. It'll be on YouTube, but also on our project website. So if you want to look at some specific elements in the future, you can visit that website at any time. And the design team will stay on to answer any questions you may have. And if you think of one later, please leave an email, dotproject174-470@ct.gov, or you can leave a voicemail, 860-594-2020, And please leave project number 174-470 in your message. It looks like we don't have any other questions. I think we're going to wrap it up. I do want to thank you for joining us tonight. Hope we were able to answer the questions for you, and we'll have that open for the next 2 weeks, ending on December 2nd, 2025. Another reminder, the presentation is going to be on YouTube, likely tomorrow morning. And you'll find the project email, voicemail number, and recorded YouTube live presentation at the project webpage, portal.ct.gov/DOT project 0174-0470. I would like to thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. We really appreciate you being here, getting your questions, your feedback. Thank you, and good night.